There are moments in life when you look around and wonder, is this it? You're doing all the things, waking up, going through the motions, checking the boxes. But deep inside, something's off. Quiet voice keeps whispering, this isn't the life you were meant to live. And most people, they ignore it, silence it, sedate it with distractions. But a few, they listen. And once you hear that voice, you can't unhear it, because it's not asking you for more noise. It's asking you for change, real change. Not the type that just rearranges your schedule or adds another goal to your list. Is a shift that rewires your core. A process that, once started, begins to tear down the walls you didn't even know you built around yourself. There are 7 decisions, 7 actions, that when practiced deliberately, don't just make your life better, they detonate it. Not in destruction, but in expansion. But here's the catch, they look simple. They sound obvious, which is why 99% of people ignore them. So focused on chasing what's loud, shiny, fast, that they never build what is quiet, deep, and lasting. So I'm not here to impress you. I'm not here to entertain you. I'm here to pass you a mirror. The truth is, your life right now is the result of everything you've been saying yes to and everything you've been avoiding. And when you stop blaming, stop waiting, stop hoping for external miracles, that's when it begins. The moment you sit down with yourself and say, I'm ready to change from the inside, that's when your life starts to explode. But not in the way movies show it. Won't be a lightning bolt or a viral moment. It will begin in small rituals, in your daily stillness, in how you handle discomfort, in how you treat yourself when no one's watching. There are 7 practices I've watched again and again completely reshape people's lives. And not just people who are already successful or lucky or privileged, but people who are completely lost, broken, uncertain, and yet they chose to show up differently. Daily, they didn't look for permission. They didn't ask the world to change first. They looked inward. And when they committed, not to perfection, to daily repetition, everything around them began to shift. Their health, their focus, their relationships, their sense of self. And this shift wasn't noisy. It was powerful in its quiet. Now I know what you're thinking. What are the 7 things? Is this just another checklist? But here's what I'll tell you. These aren't just habits. They are awakenings. Each one opens a door. And each door leads you further into your own power, the kind that doesn't need to be proved or performed, just lived. So if you're ready, we begin. Not tomorrow. Not when things are easier. Not when you feel like it. But now, right here, while everything still feels uncertain. Because that's exactly where transformation begins, not in comfort, but in choice. You want your life to explode. Then stop trying to escape the struggle and start extracting the meaning from it. In a moment, we'll walk through the 7 things. Each one will challenge something in you. An old belief, an unconscious habit, a comfort you've outgrown. And as you hear them, resist the urge to say, I already know this. Because the ones who truly transform their lives, they don't chase new information. They master simple truths over and over and over again. You don't need more noise. You need alignment, discipline, and a path to follow with quiet fire. Let's walk that path now. But first, sit still. Take one deep breath and ask yourself this. Am I ready to stop merely surviving and start living on purpose? The first shift is about stillness, the kind the world doesn't value. In fact, it's the opposite of what you've been told to do. Society worships action, hustle, speed. If you're not moving, you're lazy. If you're not producing, you're falling behind. But let me ask you something. When was the last time you truly sat with yourself in silence and listened? Not to a podcast, not to your notifications, but to the internal rhythm of your breath, the weight of your thoughts, the whispers of your intuition. There's something sacred about stillness. It is in stillness where the noise dies, where clarity begins, where all the scattered pieces of your life have room to fall back into place. But most people run from it. They're terrified of what they might hear if they truly stopped. So they fill every gap with more More scrolling, more talking, more movement. But the 1%, they build a relationship with silence. Not because it's comfortable, but because it's real. Because inside that silence, you begin to hear the truth that the world tries to drown out, that you are not lost, you are just distracted, that everything you are searching for externally, peace, direction, confidence, is sitting quietly inside you, waiting for space to speak. So the first practice isn't complicated, but it is powerful. Every day before the sun rises or before the world pulls you in, sit in stillness. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, that's all. No music, no stimulation, just you, your breath, and the courage to face what arises. You'll resist it at first. Your mind will scream at you to check your phone, to get up, to do something. That's fine, let it scream, but sit anyway. Because what's happening in that resistance is the beginning of rewiring. The discipline of stillness is the first act of reclaiming your attention. This is not about meditating perfectly. It's not about being calm or empty-minded, about presence, about creating one sacred pocket of your day that belongs to no one else, a space where the world cannot touch you, where you remember, I am not just a machine of reaction. I am aware. I am conscious. I choose my direction. And here's what you'll begin to notice. That the rest of your day starts to bend around that stillness. The chaos doesn't feel as heavy. The triggers don't control you. Start responding instead of reacting. And over time, this small act of daily stillness becomes the anchor for something far bigger: self-mastery. Funny how the most powerful habits are the ones that appear insignificant to the untrained eye. But look closely and you'll see the truth. Greatness is never loud in its beginning. It's just consistent. 5 or 10 minutes may not look like much, but they are the beginning of emotional resilience. They are the quiet foundation beneath every strong decision you'll make. And while the rest of the world is busy rushing and burning out, you'll be rooted. Because you trained yourself to return, to recenter, to listen. You won't need to scream for attention anymore. You'll radiate clarity, and people will feel it. They won't know what changed, but they'll sense something different about you. You'll carry stillness like armor. So if you do nothing else, begin here. Sit, breathe, watch, not with judgment, with presence. Let the waves come and go. Let the mind chatter. Just remain still, not for perfection, but for practice. Because what you practice, you become. And if you can practice stillness in the small moments, you'll be able to remain grounded in the storms. And when you master this one shift, just this one, your life won't explode with noise or chaos. It will explode with clarity. And that changes everything. Second shift is to protect your energy like it's your life force. Because it is. Most people don't lose motivation because they're lazy. They don't fall off their goals because they're incapable. They simply leak. Every conversation, every distraction, every task that doesn't align with their deeper mission, it takes a piece of them. Not all at once, but slowly, quietly, until they wake up one day tired. Not from doing too much, from doing too much of the wrong things. Energy is your currency, and most people are spending it on what doesn't matter. Think about that. You wake up and the first thing you touch is your phone. You see 10 opinions before you even hear your own thoughts. You absorb someone else's crisis, someone else's highlight reel, someone else's drama, all before you've even set your own emotional tone for the day. And then you wonder why your mind feels cluttered, why your heart feels restless. Here's the truth: what you consume, you become. You may think it's harmless, just a scroll here, a text thread there, but everything is planting something in your mind. And if you're not filtering what you allow in, your inner garden becomes overrun with weeds. And no clarity can grow in chaos. The 1%, the people who move through life with intention, vision, with calm power, they guard their energy with discipline. Not because they're cold or detached, but because they understand something most people don't. You cannot create a life of depth if you're constantly reacting to the surface. So they curate their inputs. They choose conversations that uplift. They limit access to people who drain. They say no without guilt. Not because they don't care, but because they care deeply about where they're going. This doesn't mean you live in a bubble. It means you develop emotional boundaries, not walls. Boundaries. There's a difference. Walls keep everything out. Boundaries are intelligent filters that protect what's sacred inside you. Start noticing what lifts you and what leaves you feeling heavy. After a phone call, after time on social media, after certain habits, do you feel expanded or contracted, inspired or depleted, peaceful or anxious? This awareness alone is life-changing because now you can choose. Now you're not just reacting, you're directing. And directing your energy is one of the highest forms of self-respect. You can't give your best to your goals if your energy is scattered. You can't show up in relationships with presence if you're emotionally exhausted. You can't tap into your creativity, your intuition, your higher self, if you're constantly leaking energy into what doesn't serve your growth. Here's a simple yet profound shift every morning. Ask yourself, where is my energy going today? Visualize it like light. Is it focused or is it being sprayed in 10 directions? Are you spending it on alignment or approval? Are you investing it in peace or in proving something? You notice a leak. Fix it. Maybe it's a conversation you no longer need to have, a platform you need to take a break from, a habit that seems small but robs you of focus. Don't wait for burnout. Honor your energy early. The world won't understand at first. Some people may even take it personally. But you are not here to be understood by everyone. You are here to live in alignment with who you are becoming. And that requires energetic precision. You don't need more time. You don't need more hacks. You need your power back. And the only way to reclaim it is to stop giving it away carelessly. So slow down, observe, choose. Choose with your soul, not with your conditioning. Protect your mornings. Guard your focus. Be intentional with your interactions. And remember, your energy speaks before your words ever do. If you walk into a room full of chaos but remain centered, people will feel it. They won't know why. But something in them will sense it. That's the kind of presence that can't be faked. It's built moment by moment through 1,000 tiny choices. And when you begin living like this, with energetic clarity, your life doesn't just improve, it elevates. You vibrate differently. You attract differently. You walk with quiet certainty, not because life is easier, because your inner world is finally aligned. And that is when everything starts to shift. The third shift is perhaps the most uncomfortable, and because of that, the most powerful. Sit with the silence. In today's world, silence is feared. People run from it like it's something dangerous. But that's only because they don't understand what silence really holds. Most are constantly surrounded by sound, not just noise, but emotional noise. Podcasts, music, television, conversations, opinions, mental clutter. There is no space between stimulus and reaction anymore. No space to breathe, to reflect, to feel. But transformation doesn't happen in noise. It happens in stillness. When you give yourself the courage to sit alone, with reaching for your phone without turning on a distraction, without numbing with busy tasks, something sacred happens. The surface begins to calm. Chaos inside that's been spinning finally starts to settle. And only then can you hear. You hear your own thoughts, not just the thoughts fed to you by the world. You hear your wounds, yes, but also your wisdom. You hear your fears, but underneath them, your truth. The real truth, not the one your ego tries to protect or the one society hands you. But silence is hard because it doesn't flatter you. It doesn't perform. It holds a mirror. For many, that reflection is uncomfortable at first. But discomfort is a sign of growth. The longer you can sit with yourself, the clearer the fog becomes. The more you sit, the more lies you've told yourself begin to crumble. You realize you're not as lost as you thought. You're not as weak as you feared. You're simply distracted from the truth of who you are. Those who rise, those whose lives explode into purpose, clarity, power. They don't run from the silence. They return to it again and again because they know that within it lies the map to the next version of themselves. It's in silence where you confront your patterns. where you realize you're chasing something not because it aligns with your soul, but because it fills a void. You see clearly this relationship isn't love, it's attachment. This job isn't fulfillment, fear disguised as safety. This habit isn't rest, it's avoidance. You start seeing all the places you've traded alignment for approval. All the times you said yes to others but said no to yourself. And in that moment, a choice. Do I return to the distraction, or do I stay here long enough to change? The people who grow fast, the ones sent, the truly awakened, they stay. They sit through the internal storms. They let the discomfort burn away what isn't real. They don't distract themselves from their pain. They meet it like a teacher. Because that's what pain becomes when you stop running from it. A guide. And from that space of inner honesty, a different life begins to unfold. Not one dictated by trends or what's popular or what you think will make people like you, but one rooted in authenticity, in alignment, in peace. Your movements become different. You don't need to convince anymore. You don't need to chase. You just are centered, focused, calm. And in that space, clarity becomes your default. You wake up knowing what to do, not because someone told you, but because the answer rose from your stillness. You speak less, but your words carry more weight. You act slower, but your actions are precise. That's what silence gives you, not emptiness. The clarity to cut through the noise of a world always trying to sell you distraction as progress. So if you want to explode your life, not into chaos, but into depth, power, and meaning, start here. 5 minutes a day, no music, no screens, just you and your breath. Let your thoughts rise. Let your emotions speak. Let your soul breathe. And slowly, you'll begin to hear a voice you've ignored for years. A voice that isn't reactive, isn't fearful, conditioned, a voice that knows. And when you begin to listen to that voice, truly listen, everything changes, not overnight. But gradually, subtly, and then all at once, you wake up and you're not the same. You're grounded, focused, and deeply alive. That's not magic. That's what happens when you stop running from yourself. The fourth thing, the rarest habit, the one that builds unshakable inner power, is to hold your energy, not share it, not explain it, just hold it. People today waste their energy more than anything else. They give it away with every unnecessary argument. They bleed it through comparison, through mindless scrolling, through seeking validation from people who don't even know their true self. What they don't realize is that energy is your most sacred currency, and every time you give it out recklessly, you weaken your own power. But when you hold it, when you learn the art of inner containment, everything begins to shift. Imagine this: a glass of clear, still water. No one touches it. No one stirs it. Over time, it reflects the world like a mirror. But now imagine that same glass constantly being shaken, disturbed, touched by every hand that passes by. It becomes muddy, chaotic, unclear. That's your mind when you don't protect your energy. So what does it mean to truly hold your energy? It means you stop explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. You stop attending every argument you're invited to. Stop posting every thought for strangers to validate. It means you understand your inner world is a sacred temple, not a public square. People who transform their lives fast don't shout. They observe. They conserve their energy so they can channel it with precision into their goals, their healing, their craft, their discipline. Every breath becomes intentional. Every word is chosen. Every reaction is considered, not impulsive. Holding your energy also means watching your attention like a hawk. Because where attention goes, energy flows. If you're giving your attention to gossip, distractions, drama, or trying to control what others think, then your energy is scattered, and scattered energy can never move mountains. But focused energy, quiet energy, it moves silently, powerfully, like water carving stone. Also another layer to this: emotional containment. And this is where most people fall. They let every small trigger rob them of peace. Every negative comment becomes an attack. Every delay becomes a frustration. Their emotions pull them like a dog on a leash. But those who rise know how to feel their emotions without reacting to them. They pause. breathe, observe, because they understand that holding your energy doesn't mean suppressing your emotions. It means processing them with discipline, feeling without flooding, speaking without shouting, responding without reacting. In that way, train themselves like warriors, not with swords or fists, but with presence, poise, and protection of what truly matters, their inner calm. And here's the twist. When you begin to hold your energy consistently, people will notice. Some will be confused. Some will feel threatened by your peace because they can't control it. They may say you've changed, become distant, cold. But you haven't become cold. You've become clear. And that clarity intimidates those who survive in chaos. You don't owe the world your energy, not your explanations, not your reactions, not your constant availability. What you owe to yourself is presence, power, purpose, all of which come when you stop leaking energy into things that don't deserve it. You must treat your energy like fire. It can warm your home or burn it down. Choose carefully where it goes. Protect your mornings. That first hour, guard it like a sacred ritual. No phone, no noise, just you and your breath. Begin your day from a place of fullness, not reaction. Protect your nights. Don't fall asleep drunk on dopamine or drenched in someone else's noise. Fall asleep with clarity, with stillness, with intention, and protect your space, your physical space, your emotional space, your digital space. Cut what drains you. Choose what nourishes you, even if it means standing alone for a while. Here's the truth: nothing will explode your life in the best way faster than reclaiming your energy. You'll feel stronger, quieter, more focused, more magnetic. Why? Because the world can feel when someone is no longer begging to be seen, but radiating from within. And that's what the 1% do. That's what the awakened do. They hold their energy and let the world adjust to their presence, not the other way around. So the question is, are you ready to stop leaking and start leading? Not with noise, but with quiet fire. We began this journey with one simple idea. What if there were a handful of things that could radically shift your life, not over years, but in weeks, in days? What if the explosion you're waiting for, the one that launches you into alignment, purpose, clarity, power, wasn't outside of you, but already within you, buried beneath noise, habits, and doubt? The truth is not about doing 1,000 things. It's about doing the right few with fierce consistency. The first was awakening to awareness, because without seeing, we are blind even with open eyes. You learn that nothing can be changed until it is witnessed. You began paying attention to your patterns, catching yourself mid-thought, questioning your reactions. That was the moment your life quietly began to shift, because awareness is the beginning of every transformation. Then you unlock discipline. Not the loud kind filled with pressure, but the quiet, daily ritual that forges your mind through repetition. You began keeping promises to yourself. Not because someone was watching, but because you were. And every time you honored your word, even in silence, a new self was forming, stronger, clearer, less shaken by the world. And then came the pause, detachment. You stopped reacting to everything. You created space between stimulus and response. That space, that's where your power lives. You learn not to chase, not to cling, not to let emotions drive the wheel. You observed. You let go. You rose above. And in doing so, you became less of a victim to the storm and more of the eye within it. The greatest shift, the one few ever master, was learning to hold your energy. To not give it away to noise, drama, distraction, or approval. You stopped explaining your worth. You stopped arguing for your place. You conserved your sacred